Hi, welcome to Edward Box Guitar Tuition. So my classic album inspection today is Riot's Thundersteel. So it came out 24th of March 1988. It's 35 years old today. Real cult classic of American power metal. It's pretty influential in the European power metal scene, particularly with bands like Hammerfall and the like. And we'll come to why that is. So kind of weird one this. Effectively, Riot did a Born in America album, but it's not a major label. Things kind of grind to a halt. Then Mark Reale's working on demos, I think maybe through 84, 85, 86, I'm not sure, with the bass player. Now, I'm just checking his name, sorry. It's Donny Van Staven. He, the writing songs, Steve Loeb gets involved again, the old producer. I'm not sure what happens there, but and I'm not sure how they attract the vocalist Tony Moore. But basically, they choose to take the Riot name, not Narita. Actually, I think Sandy Slavin was involved in the Narita project as well. But he left it, and then they decided to call it Riot. So you get this second version of Riot. So now when we sort of look at the history of Riot, we kind of see it all as one thing. There's Riot, Guy Speranza, Rhett Forrester, Tony Moore, and now you've got Riot 5. But it's kind of like a kind of reboot with just one member, really. What's this album like? The opening track, I think, sort of sums up. It's Thundersteel, so it's got fantasy power metal lyrics, Metal Warrior. I'll show you the album cover. There's Thundersteel. So it's back to front, but he's there. He's metal on his tank. The double bass drums on this, now I suspect there's Mark Edwards plays drums on tracks 2, 3, 5 and 7, but the other ones are Bobby Jarzenbeck. And he plays a phenomenal double kick drum beat, really fast, really tight. It's 49, it's got screaming vocals. Tony Moore sings really high, really pure. Kind of more ballsy than someone like King Diamond, but he's not, he's not got that kind of aggression of a Rob Halford. So you can hear how he's an influence on someone like Joachim Carnes of Hammerfall and bands like that. So Thundersteel's a bit of a power metal classic. I mean, I will say that these are cheesy songs, but there's just something about them. When they're good, is like, you just love the sort of, you imagine drinking a pint of beer and raising your sword. That's what I think. Thundersteel's a great track, and it's short and sweet. And the next track, Fight or Fall's really good. This has got a top gallop on it. Really good chant out chorus, 425. Then I've got Sign of the Crimson Storm. Now, this is a really good one. I think it has a kind of gallop, this is a slow gallop, and Mark Reale does a really cool solo where he's kind of flat 5 and pinch harmonics, bit of George Lynch in there. So I think Mark Reale sort of tried in that period from the end of the original Riot to this Riot to kind of get his chops up more and touch bass. He's using a whammy bar as well with what's going on in the modern rock and metal playing. This is 4 minutes 40. Then you got Flight of the Warrior. This is another like up tempo metal classic. Obviously, it's called Flight of the Warrior, so you can sort of see the imagery. So this is unusual for an American band. Typically you'd expect this kind of imagery in European metal, but at this point, there's not really a European power metal scene. The power metal sound comes from kind of Maiden and Priest, and then American bands, Vicious Rumours, Queensryche, early Queensryche, Dio, stuff like that. And then the Europeans in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s start to take that more, and then traditional metal finds its home in its home in Germany and countries in Sweden and countries like that in the 90s. And it's those countries that keep the traditional metal alive when everyone else is listening to Seattle-based music and new metal. Side 1 of the original vinyl finished with On the Wings of Eagles. So the album starts to tail off here a bit. It's this 541. This doesn't stand out for me, this track. Then you got Johnny's Back, which is 532. I think both these tracks are too long. I know there's love out there for Johnny's Back. It didn't do out for me. Then the album kind of takes off again with Blood Streets. This is the most melodic track on the album. Got a really great chorus, really good vocal by Tony Moore. There's actually a video for this, and I think this probably got a bit of maybe some MTV play. The album made 150 on the US charts, which isn't bad considering Riot had been away that long, and it is a really metal sort of imagery. It makes no what's the word I'm looking for? Compromises to trends, this album. They've gone out and made a melodic heavy metal album with super fast tempos. They're not like, we need a hair metal chorus here or something like that. It's just totally down the line. I'm kind of surprised they got signed to CBS with it, really. You'd expect it to be on an independent label like a Shrapnel or something, but fair play to Steve Loeb, the kind of producer manager guy. You know, he did good getting him on a label. Then you got Run For Your Life again. This is 4 minutes 8. Again, it tails off the album for me on this, and then it finishes with Buried Alive, which has got a kind of 2.5 minute intro with sort of harmonised guitars. And then it goes into a riff. It's quite a kind of Malice. It kind of reminds me of Malice a bit if you listen to stuff at the end of the beginning album. Again, it's sort of touchy bass to that, you know, American power metal. This is a good track, and it's got a cool ending where Tony Moore's doing lots of screams pretending to be buried alive. So very metal. So this album, kind of when it came out at the time, I was like, all right, I've got an album out. And I listened to it, I'm like, well, this doesn't sound like Riot. I don't remember, I didn't dislike it intensely. I just kind of listened to it a bit. My bro had it and I was like, that was that. And I never, touched base with this era of Riot. And I started playing, doing a covers band, and we did a cover of Swords and Tequila. And there was a lad from Greece, actually, who was teaching guitar. He's like, oh, Riot, they're awesome. I was like, how does this guy, he's from Greece, like, it's unusual, he's really into Riot. And obviously it was that love of the power metal in countries like Greece and so on. And him and his friend would bang into the Riot, but particularly the Thundersteel album. And then later on I found out, like Hammerfall, I watched a documentary and bands like that. And it's one of those albums where bands and musicians and lovers of a certain music all have copies of it, and it's really influential, but it doesn't sell a massive amount. It's interesting. The album they did after this, Privilege of Power, was a little kind of different in sounding. It had like a brass section on one track, and there was a Tower of Power. So it's quite strange. And after that, they did a lot of albums, but I've did a feature on Riot on my Botbrack channel, and I'll copy the link in this, and you can have a look at that if you want. But they've kept going. Riot 5 now. Mark Reilly's dead, so there's no original members left. But they've got a great singer in Todd Michael Hall, and they've basically adopted this European power metal sound as opposed to the kind of more American hard rock / Euro metal sound they had with Guy Speranza. So, yeah, Thundersteel, 35 years old today. Get the track Thundersteel cranked up, and raise your sword. Cheers. Thanks very much. Thanks for checking out.